goes, he swings that baseball bat.
Be quiet.
Thank you, everybody. Welcome to the board meeting. I'd like to start out by acknowledging the 20th anniversary of 9/11 and send out our heartfelt sympathy to anyone affected by that back then or since. Obviously a tough time, but the celebrations, or not celebrations, I guess, but recognition this past weekend across the country was a sight to behold. So I just wanted to start out the meeting before we pray with an acknowledgement of the 20th anniversary of 9/11.
Yes.
With that, Katie, Trustee Cole, is going to do our invocation.
Thank you. Dear Lord, thank you for the time that we have here this morning, and as we gather to discuss service to our community, visions for the college, please be with each of the trustees as we make decisions for the benefit of our students, our faculty, our staff, and our community. After 94 years, St. Petersburg College continues to thrive and work toward good in our community by way of working with one another, in concert with one another, and moving each day forward. Please be with us this morning as we make decisions and have them be thoughtful and considerate of each and every one here. In your name, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We're going to start off the meeting today with our SPC spotlights. We have Jesse Turtle here to introduce our new Foundation Executive Director of Development, Debbie Swink.
I am Trustee Kidwell and trustees. I am happy to announce Debbie Swink is our new Executive Director of Development. She comes to St. Pete College with years of knowledge in philanthropy, most recently with Carter Consulting. Prior to that, she was at Stetson Law School and the Tampa Zoo, among others, in her long career. We're very excited as we contemplate and kick off our quiet phase of our campaign here in January. She's going to do wonders and has already reached out to the community, internal and external. So I am very happy to welcome Debbie Swink.
Thank you. Good morning. It's an honor to have joined this incredible institution. I look forward to working with all of you and raising lots of money for the college.
Thank you. As we move along, I have a few comments for this meeting. One is I was able to attend the Presidential Scholars Award ceremony on our Seminole campus. Always a great time seeing all of our students moving along in their academic careers. Lots of parents. We ended up taking a lot of pictures. Just a great day. Second thing is we are up for some Good Burger Awards. Those are the put on by the St. Pete Chamber of Commerce. Our own Dr. Griffith, and I'm going to read this to make sure I get it correct, but is a finalist in the Trailblazers and Change Agents category. So we wish her the best of luck. I will be attending the event at our St. Pete College table. The second nominee is a student of ours, Devon Miller, and I would like to say, if I'm allowed to, that I personally have known Devon Miller for 8, 9, 10 years, ever since his mother taught my 2 children as preschoolers, starting at the age of 2. Devon is an author, a published author, and has done great things throughout his academic career, but he's now a student here at St. Pete College. I see him quite often, but he is up for the top spot in the most valuable burger category.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yep, so we wish him best of luck. In the category of arts and culture, the St. Petersburg Chamber of Commerce has nominated the Palladium for a Good Burger Award. It's just really nice to see us so involved and, so many nominations on behalf of the college, and I hope we win them all.
I know that's right.
So the last and final thing we need to recognize is on Sunday, St. Pete College turned 94. We had a full-page ad in the Tampa Bay Times. I don't know if everybody saw it, but this is something to be very proud of. 94 years is a long time. The college has done a lot of great things over the years, and here we are today still going strong. So that's really cool, and I think we need to just acknowledge that we're 94.
Woohoo!
I think that's all I have. I don't know if we have any more comments.
No, none this morning.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Well, we've had a lot going on since the last meeting, and I'm going to be super brief. I've only, Chair Kidwell has already stolen a lot of my little thunder, so, but there are some good things that we've been working on under the leadership of Vice President Turtle. We have been working on our campaign, and we had our visioning sessions a couple of weeks back. Some of you participated in that, and I appreciate you being involved as to what does SPC look like the next 100 years, and how does that work. So there were trustees there and others. I just want to thank everyone who was involved in those visioning sessions. The 100th year campaign is going to be critical for all of us to be involved and to be active participants, so I'm looking forward to that. We're also partnering with CareerSource and some other groups to put together our workforce strategy to implement House Bill 1507. Jackie and team, I'm really proud of the work everyone's been doing to pull that together, and I want to thank Trustee Butts is not here, but he joined our group meeting to work through some of the nuts and bolts of that, and so I just want to recognize that he was involved in that along with Nicole Washington. I had an opportunity to visit Miami with the Downtown Partners of St. Pete to look at the Arts District and some new things that we're going to be doing. SPC will be throwing up some murals soon on some campuses, and so I'm very proud of that and excited about us being a critical part of that. And so you already stole all my other stuff. I'll just put my documents down. I'm good.
Very good. We're at the public comment portion of the meeting. I don't have any blue cards, but if there, do we have any members of the public that would like to make a public comment? I guess I needed to open it.
There you go.
I will open the public comment portion of the meeting and ask that if there's anybody that would like to come forward with a public comment to do so now.
Okay.
All right. The public comment period is closed.
So we're going to,
Moving along, do we want to move to the monthly
we'll
report?
skip to the, we'll come back to the vote of the minutes, go to the monthly reports.
Do we have a report this month, Ms. Gardner?
Very briefly, good morning, Chair Kidwell, Trustee Cole, and Dr. Williams. Just very briefly, we did, this is both on the union SEIU. We had collective bargaining scheduled for last Friday, and that was canceled at their request, so we are going ahead and trying to reschedule, and we'll certainly keep you apprised on the progress in that regard. And then secondly, with the upcoming election for the full-time faculty union, the ballots did go out from the State Commission at the end of August. They should be in the hands or back up at the commission. The deadline, the election itself, is September 30th, and all the ballots that are received on that date will be opened publicly in front of observers. So that will be the election date itself. So that's my update, and please let me know if there's any questions.
Very good, very good. Up next, we have our first presentation. Mr. Russell Oriole for the Career Service Employee Council.
Good morning, Board of Trustees, Chairman Kidwell and Dr. Williams. How you all doing today? Okay. My name is Russell Oriole. I'm the chair for the Career Service Employee Council, and I would like to present to you where we are and where we're going. Myself, Russell Oriole, at the chair, Vice Chair Francine Fuentes, Secretary Lisa Ladal, and Treasurer Dwayne Sharp. Currently, the Board of Trustees, currently the E-Board support for all career service employees with or without site representative. We have a total of 9 representatives, 2 for Clearwater, 2 at HCC, Allstate, and VetTech, 1 for EPI and 1 for GIVE. Unfortunately, we have no representative for Tarpon, Seminole, Downtown, Midtown, Palladium. We've lost representatives in the last couple of months due to work demand and interests. I believe working with this smaller group will cultivate leadership and guidance in their roles. We collaborated in the Welcome Back Tiding and the Employee Tiding Award. We presented at the new employee orientation, welcoming new employees and providing insight to the Career Service Employee Council and site representative. We also presented as a guest speaker at our previous Discovery Day on mental toughness and resiliency in the workplace. We have added new subcommittees to amplify the steering committee members' leadership roles and collaborate within other committees and groups. The Strategic Impact Council, Employee Engagement and Experience, and Communication Committee, to name a few. Where we're going, we allowed us to achieve the strategic plan to improving communication and inclusion through monthly town hall meetings, weekly virtual allows, and keeping web pages and SharePoints updated. The virtual allow career service employees to come together to share ideas, interests in a safe place. The goal is to provide all career service employees an opportunity to have a platform to gain a sense of belonging. The next step, we will continue our collaborative effort with leaders and with the support of the new Strategic Impact Council, the steering committee will concentrate on cultivating a culture of compassion and morale by inquiring career service employee ideas and initiating events. We believe this will promote employee equity growth and creativity that will connect the strategic plans for the employee engagement and experience. We also believe we're connecting with the community engagement by providing an opportunity for community impact. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you very much. This is what it's all about. I mean, this is what we're, everybody's goal is to create, careers and help our students get there. And this is great stuff.
I really appreciate it. The thing that I'm the most proud about the Career Service Employee Council is they're really working hard to move the college forward. They've included the strategic plan in their initiatives, and they provide me counsel on a regular basis about the Career Service Employee experience itself and what they need to feel that sense of belonging and moving forward. A lot of the work that they have done has been incorporated in Discovery Day. They brought some good speakers, they've given some good feedback, and they're very honest. And so that I respect a lot, and I'm real proud of Mr. Oriole and his leadership. It's very hard when you've lost some of your representatives on the campuses and they continue to move forward. And I'm very proud of that work.
Thank you.
too.
Good job.
Do we want to move back?
Backward. Mhm.
We're going to, are there any questions, I guess, on the minutes from last month or any discussion? If not,
Move that we approve the minutes from last meeting.
Second.
great. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Minutes pass. Next up is our strategic focus on student success and academic achievement. Dr. Leo Troth will have a presentation.
Good morning, Chair Kidwell, trustees, President Williams.
Good morning.
Thank you for your time this morning. I'm going to be talking about completions. And it's a kind of a funny term, so I wanted to make sure we understand what we know we're talking about when we talk about completions. We usually talk about graduation for students who have completed an Associate of Arts, an Associate of Science, a Bachelor of Applied Science, or a Bachelor of Science degree. And that's what we've all worked the stages at the grad walks this last year, or commencements in the past, where we're really focusing on graduations. We also want to look, though, at the broader context of completing certificates, because a lot of our certificates lead straight to jobs, prepare our students for being ready to work. And we have a variety of different types of certificates. So we have certificates that we've designed on our own. We've had state certificates, adult technical diplomas, post-secondary adult vocational programs. We have a variety of different types of credit-bearing awards of significance. And so when we're talking about completions, we're talking about all of these credit-bearing awards of significance. Looking over the last 3 years, we are hovering around 7,000 completions a year. So if you think about the population of Pinellas County, if you're subtracting out those below age 15 and those above 65 who are not necessarily looking for a new career, we are really impacting better than 1 out of every 100 residents in Pinellas County is completing a degree or certificate with us every year, year over year. We have a huge impact on our community, and sometimes we kind of get lost on focusing on the individual classes or the individual alums, but when you look at the context, we have this huge impact. Looking over the multiple year trend, though, what you will notice is the number of Associate of Arts degrees that students are completing is declining. And this has been a long-term decline for more than a decade. Our Associate of Science degrees for the last 3 years have been fairly stable, although long-term they have been declining as well. Our Bachelor of Science and Bachelor of Applied Sciences are actually increasing, and that is a longer-term trend. And as we've added programs, we've had more students complete those. Overall, our certificates are on the upward trend as well. So when you look at the overall picture, year to year, it's hovering around 7,000, but we do have some movements between what types of degrees or certificates our students are finishing as they go through. One of the things that we don't focus on as much, and this is how, because of how the Florida college system looks at things, is we don't necessarily look at how fast students complete our certificates or degree programs. This, however, is very important to grantors, the Aspen Prize, other organizations on how quickly our students finish those degrees or certificates. So if we're looking at just degrees, one of the common metrics is looking at how many or what proportion of students finish that within 150% of time, which means in a 2-year degree, that's 3 years. So our bachelor's degrees are 2-year degrees on top of our associate degrees. So what proportion finish that in 3 years? Our Associate of Arts, our Associate of Science, those are 2-year degrees, what proportion finish within 3 years? And so what you will see is we are better than the nation as a whole. We're better than public schools nationwide as a whole, but we do lag within the Florida college system, both for the large schools and the system as a whole. And a lot of this can be attributed to what proportion of our students are full-time. Full-time students finish faster, and we just have a higher proportion of part-time students compared to other schools. So this is one of the things that we really focus on, is figuring out how we can help our students complete quicker when they have many other demands on their time. So one of the reasons we really focus on those wraparound services is making sure that we have as few distractions for our students to be able to complete with us and move on to the next stage in their life and career. When we look with specifically at the Associate of Arts degree, which is our largest degree at the college, overwhelmingly, the students who complete are white. That's our majority of our students. Overwhelmingly, the students who complete are below the age of 35. But what we really noticed in the last couple of years is our Hispanic student completion is up. More and more Hispanic students, more and more are completing. Our student population is also getting younger. The students who are 18 years and younger who are completing has grown by 7.5%. So that's dual enrollment, collegiate high school, or homeschool students who are then coming with a GED to complete an associate's degree with us. What has been declining over this period of time as well is students in the 22 to 25 age group and the 36 and over age group. So again, our student population is getting a little younger. We're getting first-time students, and we're getting one group of second-time students, really between the age of 25 and 35 is where we still are holding steady. But these other age populations, we're declining in those age groups. And the other part that is declining is white men. And that's just a common trend across higher education across the country. As you know, we also have, several years ago, we organized the college around career and academic communities to help students identify career pathways they want, and then the degrees and certificates we have along those pathways to complete to move into where they want to go in their career or their academic pathway. Overwhelmingly, our largest programs obviously are in the health sciences area and in business. But when we look at the growth over the last several years, technology has really grown, which is really our computer science, our cybersecurity programs. Those have really grown in the last 3 years. And education has also grown in the last 3 years, primarily for the bachelor's degree programs, as we've had a greater and greater demand for that pathway. When we look at what has been decreasing over the last 3 years, it's been in our engineering, manufacturing, and building arts program, primarily in the degree fields. And what's happening is more and more students are doing the certificates. They can get a job immediately with that certificate. So they just take the certificate, they don't do the certificate and the degree on top of it, because a lot of our certificates are embedded within degrees. So sometimes students would come out with 2 or 3 completions, and now they're just taking 1 completion and getting a job. Likewise, in arts, humanities, and design, and this is not a decrease in degrees, it's actually a decrease in certificates. Fewer and fewer are just doing like the photography certificate. More and more, we're holding constant at students completing the degree, Associate of Arts for transfer, or the Associate of Science in graphic design, for example. The other big piece I want to really highlight, and it's in this little circle box on the left with the little gold declining arrow, is we have decreased by 27% the number of students who have not chosen a pathway, who are not in a career and academic community. So again, this really goes back to what we've been doing in student services, helping students identify their pathway, where they want to go, so that they are not lost along the way. But we still do have some who somehow manage to complete an Associate of Arts degree without really picking a career and academic community. And partly that's kind of the old traditional AA of figuring out, I don't really want to figure out a major until I get to university. So we still have some of those students, but it has been decreasing over time. The next step after students complete is we want to know where they go. And so on the left-hand side, this is broken out. The first 2 columns are our Associate of Arts, the next 2 are our Associate of Science, and the next 2 are our bachelor's degrees, looking at those who are what percentage are getting employed right with the degree, what percentage are continuing on for additional education after completion of the degree. And for many years, we've looked at this separately. We also rounded it up, and so if you look on the bottom left side, we started looking as a state, looking at what proportion of our AA students were continuing on or employed, and for us it was 90%. For our AS students, what percentage was employed or continuing on? 88%. For bachelor's students, what percentage was continuing on, or was employed or continuing on? It was 80% for us as a school. And in some we do better than others. All the state system schools have some different success rates on this. Overall, we've been hovering slightly above average for the system on students who are employed or students who are transitioning on to their next educational objective. The place where we really shine is the starting wage. We've been fairly consistent at being the #1 school in the system for the highest starting wage of graduates. So last year that we have to compare with all the other schools is 2018, because we get this data from the state and they kind of track these alums and then give us the feedback. So for 2018, our students were making $45,000. The system as a whole, the average was $39,000. Huge jump. We do know for 2019, our initial wage is $51,000. We don't have the system numbers yet for that, but we are still doing very well compared to the other schools in the system. The one other piece I wanted to touch on was the non-credit education. So these are certificates that don't give academic credit, although we can transfer them in and waive requirements for academic credits for these students. Looking at what we do in our Workforce Institute. So overall, you see that we've done a lot of customized corporate training. That's the big driver historically in the number of people we interact with for short-term educational opportunities. But on the right-hand side, really focus on the rapid credentialing. So this past year, we did over 1,000 students through our rapid credentialing program. Last year, we did about a little less than 300. So it's more than the threefold increase on the rapid credentialing. Thanks a lot to support from the state for waiving tuition for those students, but it also has become a much more visible pathway for people who want to complete something to move on to their next step in their career. Sure.
Yes, absolutely.
But on rapid credentialing, are those programs mostly responsive to employers in the community who have requested them, or they were already on our, we determined what could be helpful and offer them and recruit students, or a combination of both?
It's a combination of both. We get data from the state on what is in demand. We also have our advisory groups who give us feedback on additional certificates or programs that may be in demand that the state isn't picking up on because the state's doing state-level data or regional data, whereas we could really drill down and know this is what we need in downtown St. Peter, this is what we need in Largo for the next 6 months. And so it's a combination. A lot, but not all of the rapid credentials are actually credit-bearing as well. So it's a combination of non-credit and credit-bearing certifications that we've been completing on that side. Okay.
As an aside, I think that point is amazing, and when I tell people in the community that so many of our Workforce Institute programs also have a credit-bearing option to it, that is such an added value that I think we offer. So kudos to that.
And the other piece that we continually work on is for the non-credit-bearing certificates, how can we waive degree requirements for students who've completed those? How can we get, so we have an experiential waiver program that we do, and it's a little clunky. I mean, it's clunky for every school, but we, I know that we've signed off on many of those in this past year because a lot of them elevate to me to make sure for the final sign-off. So we always want to improve on our completion. So remember, students come in, they inquire, we admit them, they enroll, they complete classes. We want them to complete them sooner because we want them to be able to earn a living at a higher level quicker. But we're constantly looking at how we could help our students complete faster. So we have a lot of different strategic initiatives going on with the current strategic plan in academic affairs and student services. We are continually looking at our training for our students who are doing programs online, because we do know that there's a student success difference between our fully online and face-to-face experiences for our students, and so we're trying to help our online students do better. We've been investing a lot in faculty professional development. We're covering the tuition for any faculty member who wants to do any of the AQ certifications, which is a national standard for teaching that has developed over the last decade. So it's like a postdoctorate certification in teaching. And they have 6 different certifications, and we're essentially covering the tuition for our faculty to do that program. So, which is Very few schools are doing it. We're also doing, this summer we've been focusing a lot on culturally relevant pedagogy, and we're continuing that focus for our faculty because for students it's always easier to be taught by someone they can relate to. So how do we help our faculty be able to relate better with our students as our student population changes over time? And then finally, we've been looking a lot at course scheduling. Just before the pandemic, we made some changes to the course schedule, so our top 11 classes would not have overlapping course times, and so we would schedule them in a way so that students could actually take those 11 classes without having this class starting and then this class starting before this class ended. We're expanding that for spring to our top 50. We are doing some tweaks to the timing of that to basically give a little bit more passing time for students and allow easier access for students to be able to do our 16-week schedule and our express term. So again, looking at a lot of the mechanics that are what I call boring but important things to make sure that we really run an amazing college for our students. Any questions?
That was a great presentation.
Chair, I have one question. With respect to our initial starting wage, how does the $51,000 compare to the county's target employment wage level? Do we know?
So high wage is 200%. It's $15 an hour. So it's times 2,000 hours. That's $30,000 an hour. $30,000 a year is the goal.
Okay.
Is that the county's?
Well, that's what I was wondering.
goal?
Right, Pinellas County Economic Development, I
No.
thought has a.
Sorry, yeah, I was thinking of the state one, not the county one.
Right, so they have a
that.
target wage or a through the target employment, certain wages, if you're a high wage job. I was just curious where, I wouldn't think it would be much off of that.
I think the county.
Career choice.
Right. I think the county does base that off the state data, though, which is, and so the definition
It
right
would
now
be,
for the
a
state
definition
is
of high wage would still be
above
only
$15 an hour.
Yeah, wow.
We'll look into that.
Yeah, I'd just be interested. I think that'd be a excellent selling point.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Janet Hunt, and she's going to introduce our next presenter.
Yes. Good morning, Chair Kidwell, Board Trustees, and President Williams. My name is Janet Hunt. I'm the VP of Finance and Business Operations. This morning, I am here to introduce you to the consultant firm that the college has engaged in order to look at our strategic facilities master planning. Before he comes forward, I will give you a brief recap of what we've done over the last 5 years. So to give you a quick overview of our property, St. Petersburg College has 2.5 million square feet of property. Our 11 campuses and sites spread across 6 cities in Pinellas County, from South St. Petersburg to Tarpon Springs. Included in the $2.5 million, 2.5 million square feet are also smaller parcels and sites. So the college started this process in 2016, and we started this process for a few reasons: to achieve the best space utilization and synergy across our campuses, to develop and implement a comprehensive facility plan, and also to explore revenue options and cost efficiencies. Since 2016, we have completed a real estate analysis on some of our properties, had a real estate committee that kicked off initial feedback to specific properties. We've listed and sold our district office administrative building in Largo. And also currently we are in contract to sell 18 acres of a parcel located near our Tarpon Springs campus. Most recently, the college has engaged a firm for master planning. Included in that process is also a public-private partnership analysis, which you will be asked to approve the agreement amendment later in the agenda. So at this time, I'd ask to introduce Peter Prohoski from Cushman & Wakefield to talk a little bit more about his firm and the process.
Thank you, Janet. Good morning, Chair Kidwell, Board Trustees, President Williams. Pleasure to meet you again. So very glad to be with you today. As Janet explained, we're from Cushman & Wakefield. We are, just in terms of advertisement, a very large international firm, full service, do everything from corporate site selections and relocations to representing landlords who own buildings to, but I'm most proud of, our prolific consulting and strategic advisory groups. We have a focus on education. We have helped dozens of, and are helping dozens of universities and colleges around the country, ranging from small private colleges, community colleges, up to Power 5 conference colleges, all with very similar issues. What are we today? What are we going to be? What kind of lens has COVID put up that we need to look through in terms of how we see our future? And these are not easy answers or easy questions to answer. But in the case of St. Petersburg College, it has a profound effect, and that's why we're here. You have a footprint today of real estate. Things are changing. What's your footprint going to be in the future, and how do you migrate there? One of the things we're most proud of at Cushman & Wakefield is we lean heavily into a diversity and inclusion, hiring a diversity and inclusion officer, Nadine Augusta, who is just a class act individual. It's been a phenomenal program. I'm a proud member of a group called BUILD, Blacks United in Leadership Development, where we mentor students and others across cities to join the real estate profession and let them evaluate that as a career opportunity. So we're very proud of that. This is some of our team members. We have a couple local representatives who are in the Tampa market and know the real estate market very well. Today from Brailsford and Dunleavy is Brendan Kohler. Brendan, do you want to wave? Great. Brendan is Brailsford and Dunleavy and Cushman & Wakefield have a strategic partnership. Brailsford and Dunleavy has a 28-year history in advising hundreds of institutions, educational institutions, on public-private partnerships, strategic planning, how to deliver food services. They are very, very deep in the industry. Diana Wright, who is near and dear to many of your hearts from Santabuc Consulting, is with us. She's an expert in program management, and Diana absolutely has the keys to, she knows every nook and cranny. And along with Janet's team, who have been outstanding, it's been a luxury for us in terms of, very often you get this disorganized, this kind of nuts and bolts put on a table, and we have to sort them out. Janet's group has given us a great head start in terms of their organization and just letting us hit the ground running. So we appreciate that as well. So what are we doing? Simply put, a strategic portfolio plan is solving for the required future real estate footprint by, one, defining core and non-core assets. Now, part of that is holding a mirror up to the St. Petersburg College system and asking, what is your core programmatically? What is becoming non-core? What do you want to be in 2, 3, 5, 10 years? And that helps define then what you need to support those missions, right? Then also, what is the effect of online learning and the continued migration to online learning? What's that do for your physical needs, your asset needs? So we measure all that and say, okay, you have a current state, you have an end state. We need to migrate you there, because real estate is typically the second or third most expensive item for a collegiate institution. So, and it can't be taken lightly, certainly in terms of its impact. So once we have the mission goals, consensus around what SPC wants to migrate toward, then there's ways of identifying what might be surplus assets. Some programs, whether or not there's programs that are considered not to be core anymore, some of them might be solved legislatively and instead of just selling real estate. Programs that are shifting or migrating. So that's kind of where we are. We kind of hold a mirror up and say we're going to go through this filtering process to come up to what your future footprint should be. So to do that, we're looking at all the owned inventory, deferred maintenance, utilization of assets, including classrooms. I should have mentioned before, Sightlines, a firm that's part of our team, are experts in analyzing data to determine classroom utilization by day, by hour, to see whether or not it's being heavily utilized or optimally utilized. So we take all this information and then come up with what we think is a plan to cure. you have X too many classrooms, you have Y too much office space, extraneous spaces, et cetera. And throughout the process we also try to say core versus non-core. What are your sacred cows? So the sacred cows might be your main campuses, right? The legacy institutions and campuses that shall remain. And how do you build around those? And you reinvest in those facilities because they're your long-term requirements. With that said, you do not stop needing new facilities. Every college there's a race to modernize, provide new technologically efficient modern facilities. So we have we proposed a process of looking at public-private partnerships to deliver potentially 1 or 2 new facilities for the Health Education Center, and we're also looking at alternatives around Allstate. And that process is heavily run by Brailsford and Dunleavy, but it's how to deliver new facilities without burdening the financial pro forma of SPC. So something happened in the font here for those who can read. I don't know if this was a trick thrown in to test me, but so far, I'll flip to my own notes. So far, we've kicked off. We've toured every campus. We had a 2-day tour, thankfully with lots of cold water in the van, going campus by campus and walking. We've had a senior vice president visioning session, discuss kind of this idea and what we want to be and get their initial input. We, of course, today have the board meeting, and pretty soon we'll have a collaborative work session online using the collaborative lab with VPs to start vetting this idea of, what do you want to be, what's really important to the mission of SBC, and then devising strategies. We'll be back to you in January, I believe, with a preliminary recommendations and hoping getting close to final. And of course, we'll be interacting and moving forward with you along the way over the next few months. With that, questions or
Questions?
Mr. Chair.
Oh, I'm sorry. Trustee Gibbons.
Thank you
Go
so
ahead.
much for the presentation. I have just a comment and then a couple of questions. One is I'd like for us to call the real estate committee back in so we can thank them as a board for their hard work to getting us to this point. Dr. Williams, if you would.
Janet already has a plan for that.
Okay, good. I'd like to see those folks and thank them, at least give them something, and a thank you from the board. Number 2 is, how extensive is your knowledge with P3, and how many times have you guys, in your particular capacity, have utilized the P3 process?
We've done it a dozen times, both for public institutions and private, and Brailsford and Dunleavy times 4. One of the things we see most often lately are innovation districts. So big Power 5 and research institutions are trying to add science and technology buildings to bring corporations on board. So we're doing a lot of those. University of Memphis, Wentworth Institute of Technology, University of Oklahoma, et cetera.
And then you went really fast on the build.
And Florida Polytech is closer to us.
You did the floor. You worked with Dr. At that time, what was Ava, the CFO or whatever? You worked with her on Florida Polytechnic?
Yeah, Florida Polytech's looking at a 35,000
they're
square
looking at
foot.
a new one. I know
Yes.
they used them in the past too.
Exactly, yes.
And then you went really fast over the build program, and you say you partner with minorities and students and getting them into the real estate.
So Blacks United in Leadership Development, we try to work with not only promoting from within, but also our industry has very low representation of minorities in our industry.
So would you be willing to work with our workforce development to make sure that, I know they're doing something related to real estate coming up soon, so that we can have some students
Absolutely.
maybe work with you all?
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Thank you all. Unless there's any other questions?
I was similar to Trustee Gibbons. I just wanted to thank publicly the Real Estate Committee. I know Ms. Hunt sent correspondence to each of them because I think their identification further reiterated the need for this process, which we thought we were going to need, and we were hoping to maybe skip over it. And but it certainly underscored that, and we couldn't have gotten here without having been there. So thank you, and I especially am really looking forward to how this pans out and seeing the results this spring. So yeah.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have the consent agenda. Do we have any discussion on any of the items?
Mr. Chair, I'll move that we accept the consent agenda for it, but I do have a discussion item.
Sure, go right ahead.
We're on consent, right?
Yes.
Just the one with ISPS on it. Oh yeah, on the ISPS, I know we're turning those funds back over. Oh yeah, transfer funds right here. Back to ISPS. Mr. Chair, you asked me to sit on that committee. And I have a recommendation that we make a board rule that ISPS can put the, they have to put a budget together and bring it back just like all the other 501c3s that operate with, or DSOs that operate within the college system here. And that we have to approve that every year, just so that we can make sure that funding is not, while we have, I'm a confident and competent leader right now, we may not be here, and we want to make sure that someone could always overlook that budget, as well as with the transfers. I'm sure that there are going to be a lot of questions from the committee that you've appointed me to sit on. So if we can get as much information about any of those dollars that we can. For example, are there any restrictions, where they come, just a synopsis of where they come from, what they can be utilized for, what they should be utilized for, and maybe some guidelines so that when they bring back the budget, we can put a good budget together that this board can approve very quickly. So it's a board rule. It's a long-winded motion.
Any discussion?
No, I agree. I just know, I think you'll have to bring it back to us because we have to advertise board rules. Is that correct?
It might be a procedure.
Yes, we actually do have a procedure that we could put it into.
Right.
Okay.
I'll make sure
But we
the
have to
board
approve
gets
it as a
copy of
motion
that.
today, and then you have to take it and put it in the procedure.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Correct.
So moved.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Now, is that on that motion, or I did it all together, I thought? So we accepted the consent agenda as well.
Do we, I think
I think we have to do it
no, we
separately.
need to do a separate
I think
motion
so.
for the consent agenda.
So that motion was for the transfer of ISPS and the board rule. I also make a motion that we accept the entire consent agenda as printed, Mr. Chair.
I will second that, and I just wanted to acknowledge the food security grant, and thank you, Ms. Schultz, and your team for that. We talk a lot about the wraparound services at the college, and $400,000 for food security for our college community is so significant, and this really just, I thought, was a wonderful way that we can serve our community. So thank you for thinking of that and working on that. I know it's somewhat out of the box for the college to have a grant like that, but I was thrilled to see that, so thank you. So, and second, and
All in favor?
aye.
Aye. Thank you. We were provided informational reports. Do we have any discussion on any of our informational reports?
Sir?
Nope.
All right, I think we're on to the president's report.
All right. Thank you, Trustee Gibbons. That was the idea, the recommendation. So we're right there in the thick of the legislative session. We're in the thick of the legislative session, and Aaron and I, as well as Capital City, we've already started our strategy. Last week, we had an opportunity to host the legislative delegation, and it was a great meeting. I had a chance to share with them our focus and where we want to go and what's going on. I also had opportunity to have lunch with some of them afterwards, and so it was definitely a good meeting. In front of you is a document that we created that shows both the St. Petersburg College and what we've done great, as well as the Florida college system on the back. But you can see the impact that the college has had on the county, what we're doing and how we're changing lives here in Pinellas County. I'm very proud of that. We will be hosting our delegates on campus. We will have Senator Hooper and Representative Lottvaller go through the Police and Public Safety Academy. They want to see that, so we'll have them on campus there. And we have individual meetings already planned through the month of October. We're also hosting the legislative delegation again in November. So next week begins committee week. I will be in Tallahassee Monday through Wednesday, meeting with different people, but also working with our college presidents, working with Capital City, and doing some unique things for those 3 days. We'll be going morning, noon, and night, so I'm pretty excited about what we've scheduled so far. We've had a chance to meet with the commissioner 2 weeks ago in the airport, but it was an hour-and-a-half meeting, so it was very good. We had a chance to hear from him, but also share what our vision is and the goals that we'd like to see and what's going on. I think the biggest thing is understanding that committee weeks will be going on between now and December, Trustee Gibbons, I think, December. The session starts in January.
This year, because of reapportion. Man, they're going to be drawing the lines over for congressional seats and House and Senate seats.
Once they do that, when will we know what those?
Oh, you won't know till after session's over.
Oh, okay,
It'll be
so
November. They'll go to court as usual, and the judges, and they'll go all the way to the Supreme Court probably, and they'll say, well, these are good or not. They make these bugs plats of districts, and then they say, well, a bridge can't connect Pinellas and Hillsborough in a district. You got to have a contiguous land and that kind of stuff, so it'll be a while. Okay. You won't know right up until election time probably.
Oh, okay. So I'll be spending a lot of time in Tallahassee over the next couple of months, actually several months. For the trustees, there's a legislative conference that's coming up. And what we're trying to do different this year is we'll be surveying the trustees to find out what do you want at your conference, to make it more meaningful for the trustees instead of us developing it and it not being meaningful. I will make sure that you're aware when that goes out to get you guys to complete that survey. I think that's important.
I'm sorry, is that for the state or federal?
For the state.
Okay.
That's the
Good
state
question, 'cause
one.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
Because I know we talked about the
We're working on that one.
ACCT as well.
We're working on the one with ACCT as well. And I think that what the biggest piece for us is implementing all the bills that were passed. The faculty have done a great job on working on the bill that talks about free speech and things of that nature. The intellectual freedom and viewpoint, we're still kind of going through that. House Bill 1507, there's some dual enrollment bills. There are different bills that we're spending a lot of time working on, making sure we implement them correctly. For our legislative asks, we're definitely looking for increased operational funds, help with capital outlay, and assistance for public safety. And I think it's important for us to make sure that the board knows that we're focusing on those things, which aligns with our strategic plan. It also aligns with what the state is focusing on and getting more people to work. And then as Suzanne Gardner mentioned, our faculty will be voting on becoming, whether or not they would like to become a full-time faculty union. After the vote is counted and ready to rock and roll, I will schedule a meeting with the faculty, regardless of the results, to really hammer out how do we go, from here? Where do we go? How do we work through those things to move us forward as an institution? And so I just want to say that is my report for today, and I don't know if you have any questions or comments or recommendations for the
I don't have
president?
any comments, but I missed something, Madam President. The gentleman, Mr. Bohorski, talked about Cushman and Wakefield. I know he's gone, but he talked about a visioning process. I just wanted to make sure that in that visioning process that one of the board members maybe, and then also
Okay.
I know he said VPs, but I hope he was talking about provosts because they're going to be a little bit closer to what's going on in that particular city or community. So just to,
Yeah.
as long as y'all figure it out, I mean, I just
Yeah.
think you should have a cross-section of the community.
We do.
On that
Yes.
visioning process.
Yes, Trustee Givens, so we will be having the visioning process. Dr. Williams, your input that the board has shared for our strategic master plan has been shared with the consultants as well. All the VPs have had a visioning workshop, and the collaborative labs will include all of the provosts, deans, and we have students. We'll be talking to individuals across the college and community partners.
I think too, what
Great.
Trustee Givens is saying is can a board member also
Oh,
be a
absolutely.
part of it?
I think the chair should try to be, either appoint or be a part of it.
Yep.
But if not, just so we can have some information brought back to the board of where it's headed.
Yeah, I'm happy to
That's great.
participate.
Absolutely.
And along those lines, perhaps some people from the real estate committee might
I was
also,
going to say that too.
they've had a,
Maybe we could do the chair of the real estate committee.
Okay.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yep. All right, well, that's my report.
All right, our next meeting is October 19th, 2021, on our Seminole campus in the Conference Center. Meeting adjourned.